Price of new cars has hit a milestone.
What's driving car prices higher?
What are you hearing from consumers when they come in here?
Prices too high. Car prices seem to have been rising ever since COVID, and there's no turning back on that.
The truck market is collapsing, and right now, 38,000 Ram trucks are sitting on dealer lots across America with nowhere to go. Not because of a factory defect, not because of a natural disaster, because buyers looked at the price tag, looked at their monthly payment, and walked away. Marcus bought a 2025 Ram, 2,500 tradesmen 14 months ago, $61,000. He felt good about it. He felt like he got a solid American work truck at a fair deal. Today, that same truck, same trim, same mileage range, is sitting on a lot 2 miles from his house for $8,000 less, and the dealer is still not moving it. Full-size pickups are averaging $66,000 right now. Financing costs are at levels that make serious buyers flinch, and one brand made a series of decisions so catastrophic, so tone-deaf to what their own customers were telling them, that they didn't just lose sales, they lost trust. The question nobody at Ram headquarters wants to answer out loud is this: when you burn down a decade of customer loyalty in a single model year, can you ever actually build it back? Before we get into the list, you need to understand why it exists. Because this is not a story about a few slow-selling trucks sitting in a corner of some rural dealership. This is a market-wide freeze happening in the best-selling vehicle category in America. And the numbers behind it are harder to explain than most people want to admit. Full-size pickup trucks are averaging $66,000 right now. Let that land for a second. $66,000. That is not the loaded luxury trim. That is the average transaction price across the entire segment. A decade ago, you could walk onto a lot and drive home in a capable, well-equipped full-size truck for $35,000 to $40,000. That truck now costs $66,000, and the interest rate attached to it has more than doubled since the lows buyers were financing at in 2020 and 2021. A dealer principal with 2 Ram franchises in the Midwest told Automotive News, "In 2021, I couldn't keep trucks on the lot for more than a week. Right now, I've got units that have been sitting for 4 months, and I'm cutting deals I never thought I'd cut. The buyers are there. The math just doesn't work for them anymore." That is the core problem. The buyers did not disappear. The desire for trucks did not disappear. What disappeared was the financial room to absorb what the market is charging for them. When a monthly payment on a mid-trim work truck crosses $1,000 before you add insurance, fuel, and maintenance, the calculation changes completely. Buyers who would have signed 2 years ago are now walking onto lots, running the numbers in their heads, and walking back out to their current truck for another year. The industry benchmark for healthy inventory is 60 days of supply. 60 days means a dealership is selling vehicles fast enough to keep the floor plan from becoming a crisis. Some trucks on this list have hit 200 days, 300 days, 460 days of supply, meaning Ram was producing trucks at a pace that had absolutely no connection to the number of buyers willing to purchase them. That gap between production and demand is what panic looks like in the automotive industry. It shows up as emergency incentives, factory shutdowns, workers getting sent home, and brand new vehicles quietly converted into loaner cars just to manufacture the appearance of movement. The 12 trucks on this list are not victims of bad luck. They are the result of a market that finally stopped pretending the numbers made sense. Let's count them down. Number 12 is the Hyundai Santa Cruz. And before anyone comes to the comments to defend it, understand that this is not an indictment of the truck itself. This is an indictment of an identity crisis so severe that the market simply refused to pick a side with it. Hyundai called the Santa Cruz a sport adventure vehicle. The pitch made sense on a whiteboard. Take the Tucson platform, cut open the rear cargo area, market it to buyers who want truck utility without committing to a full body-on-frame pickup. Clean concept. Terrible execution in the real world. In 2025, Hyundai moved just 25,499 Santa Cruz units across the entire United States. That number is down 20% from 2024. The Ford Maverick, its only direct compact truck competitor, outsold it 6-1. Ford sold 155,000 Mavericks that same year. That is not a close race. That is not even the same sport being played. Hyundai dealers ended 2025 sitting on nearly 5 months of unsold Santa Cruz inventory. A healthy dealership wants 60 days of supply. The Santa Cruz was approaching 150 days by year end. According to Automotive News, production at the Alabama plant was cut by nearly half in early 2026, with Hyundai preparing to kill the program ahead of its originally planned 2027 end date. One dealer in Georgia posted in an industry forum, "We have 6 Santa Cruz units aging out on the lot. I have started pricing them below invoice just to stop paying floor plan interest on them." The 4-foot bed never overcame the comparison to its own sibling. The Tucson, which shares the exact same platform, moved 234,000 units in the same year. The Santa Cruz sold 25,000, up 14%. Buyers wanting a Hyundai product looked at both options and consistently chose the one with a proper back seat and real cargo space. The Santa Cruz was never quite a truck and never quite a crossover, and in a market this unforgiving, that ambiguity cost it everything. Number 11 is the Ram 1500 TRX, and this one hurts differently. 702 horsepower from a supercharged 6.2-liter Hemi, 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds. It outmuscled the Ford F-150 Raptor on drag strips across the country and made absolutely no apologies about it. The truck community embraced it completely. Then emissions regulators arrived and the party ended. Ram discontinued the TRX after the 2024 model year because the Hellcat Vive 8 simply could not be modified to meet tightening federal standards at a price that made business sense. Leftover 2024 final edition units are now sitting on lots above $85,000. Not damaged goods, orphaned goods. The last of a breed with no successor capable of replacing what made them special. In January of 2022, GM's CEO stood up and announced that General Motors would become the EV market leader in North America by 2025. The company poured billions into the Factory Zero plant in Michigan. The plan called for hundreds of thousands of electric trucks annually across the Silverado EV, Sierra EV, and Hummer EV platforms combined. It was one of the most ambitious production commitments any automaker had ever made out loud. Then the market responded. Number 10 is the Chevy Silverado EV. In the third quarter of 2025, the Silverado EV delivered roughly 4,000 units. GM called this its strongest quarter to date, a near doubling year over year. What they did not put in the press release was the context. 4,000 units in a quarter represents approximately 2% of the annual production volume GM had originally projected. 2% of the plan executed, and the company counted it as a win. A Chevy dealership manager in Michigan told a trade publication, "Customers come in curious about the Silverado EV. They ask about towing range under load. I give them the honest answer, and they walk over and look at a diesel. Every single time." The Silverado EV consistently holds the highest day supply of any model in Chevrolet's entire lineup. It sits longer than every other Chevy vehicle, including the ones everyone already acknowledges move slowly. The EV tax credit expiration in late September 2025 removed what had been the primary purchase trigger for marginal buyers, and real-world range reduction, while towing combined with charging infrastructure gaps, make diesel still look overwhelmingly practical to working buyers with actual work to do. Number 9 is the GMC Sierra EV, and its story is the Silverado EV story with a worse quarterly box score. In the fourth quarter of 2025, the Sierra EV posted 1,849 units sold, down 13% from the prior year quarter. Combined, the Silverado EV and Sierra EV together delivered 7,314 electric pickups in the third quarter of 2025. GM celebrated this as evidence of growing momentum. The context they skipped over was that the entire EV truck segment declined 9% that same quarter. GM's electric twins were outperforming a shrinking market. That is not the leadership narrative the factory zero investment was supposed to produce. The Sierra EV's premium GMC positioning makes the core problem worse, not better. A buyer willing to spend $75,000 on an electric work truck has specific expectations around real-world towing range, charging speed under load, and long-term battery confidence. Neither the Sierra nor the Silverado EV fully delivers against conventional diesel alternatives on those exact measures. Early adopters genuinely like these trucks, but early adopters are a finite pool, and the pragmatists running the cost math are still choosing diesel. Until charging infrastructure reaches the density of gas stations in rural America, that calculation does not change. $129,415. That is the fully loaded price of a 2025 GMC Hummer EV pickup 3X. 6 figures for a truck in a market where full-size pickups are already averaging $66,000, and buyers are visibly flinching at that number. GMC reintroduced a brand name that last died in 2010 and charged 2 times the market average for the privilege of owning it again. And people did buy it early. Enthusiasts with money who wanted to be first, who wanted the conversation piece in the driveway, who wanted to say they had one before anyone else did. Then the reservation pool dried up, and GM found itself facing a problem it had not planned for. Number 8 is the GMC Hummer EV pickup. In late August of 2025, GM paused production at the Factory Zero plant in Michigan. Approximately 360 workers were temporarily laid off due to what the company described as aligning production to market dynamics. That is corporate language for one specific reality. They had built more Hummer EV pickups than buyers were willing to absorb at these prices. So GM activated something called the DRAC program. Dealer rent-a-car. Brand new Hummer EV pickups were quietly converted into loaner vehicles, driven a few thousand miles, then relisted at discounts of $15,000 to $25,000. One 2025 Hummer EV pickup 2X, with 2,240 miles, was listed at $83,999, nearly $15,000 off original MSRP, still unsold. A brand new vehicle repurposed as a rental courtesy car to manufacture the appearance of inventory movement. That is the kind of strategy that never appears in press releases. Number 7 is the Rivian R1T, and this one requires a different kind of honesty. The R1T is a genuinely excellent product. It rides well. It tows up to 11,000 pounds, depending on configuration. The tunnel storage under the bed and the front trunk are clever uses of space that no gas truck has figured out yet. In 2025, Rivian sold 11,085 R1T pickup trucks in the United States for the full year. For a truck that starts at $69,000, that figure represents a market ceiling that no amount of positive press coverage is going to push through. Before we go further, if you want the complete breakdown of every vehicle that will drain your finances in 2026, I put together a free ebook called Avoid These 17 Cars in 2026. Depreciation data, reliability scores, The exact models mechanics see constantly. Link is in the description. Download it before you walk into any dealership. US sales for Rivian's R1 platform dropped 26% in early 2026. The stock fell 5% in a single trading day on that announcement. One buyer on a Rivian owners forum wrote, "I love this truck, but I bought it knowing Rivian needed to survive long enough to honor the warranty. That is a risk a $69,000 Ram buyer never has to think about." That is the problem in one sentence. $69,000 buys a well-loaded gasoline truck with matching towing capability at a dealer with 50 years of service history and parts availability that does not depend on a startup remaining solvent. Heavy-duty trucks were supposed to be immune to all of this. Contractors, fleet operators, ranchers, tradespeople who need a real work vehicle to run a real business. This segment has historically maintained steady retail velocity, regardless of interest rate environments or economic softness. When the half-ton market slows down, the heavy-duty segment keeps moving because the buyers in it are not making emotional purchases. They are making business decisions. That story stopped being true for Ram a long time ago, and the inventory numbers have been screaming about it ever since. Number 6 is the Ram 3500. At its worst recent point, Car Edge data showed the Ram 3500 sitting at 342 days of supply across dealer lots nationwide. 342 days. That is nearly a full calendar year of built trucks waiting for buyers who simply are not showing up at that price. The average transaction price on a Ram 3500 is $79,378. That is the kind of purchase decision that requires deliberate planning, financing approval, and genuine certainty about the brand you are betting that money on. None of which happens easily when buyers feel uncertain about where that brand is headed. A fleet manager in Texas told Heavy Duty Trucking magazine, "We ran Rams for 12 years straight. Last cycle, we split the order between Ram and GM because we needed to know our options. The day supply numbers told us something the sales rep wasn't going to." The existing Ram 3500 platform dates back to architecture from 2010. Both GM and Ford introduced fresher heavy-duty trucks during that time. Buyers comparing current generation competitors against aging Ram architecture started making different choices, and the day supply figures on Ram HD trucks reflect that decision perfectly. Number 5 is the Ram 2500. And this is the entry that automotive market observers have been tracking closely for well over a year. By multiple data sources, this is consistently the slowest selling truck in America. Car Edge data from October 2025 showed the Ram 2500 with 200 days of supply and 38,819 units sitting at dealerships nationwide. Not a bad week, not a slow quarter, not an anomaly. At its absolute worst, the Ram 2500 reached 460 days of supply, meaning Ram was producing trucks faster than buyers were appearing by a ratio that defied basic inventory logic. The price math tells the whole story. A tradesman 2500 that cost around $40,000 in 2022 climbed to approximately $55,000 by 2025. That $15,000 increase, compounded with elevated interest rates that did not exist during the 2021 and 2022 truck buying frenzy, translates to hundreds of additional dollars in monthly payments. One Ram 2500 owner posted on a truck forum, "I bought mine in 2021 at a payment I could live with. My buddy just tried to buy the same truck. His payment was $400 more per month for the same configuration. He walked out and bought used." Buyers who could previously justify that number are now stepping back, shopping used, or simply waiting. 38,000 unsold trucks confirm they mean it. Some mistakes in the automotive industry happen slowly. A platform ages out. A competitor quietly improves. Market share erodes over years, and nobody in the executive suite notices until the dealer complaints reach a volume that cannot be ignored. And then there are the other kind of mistakes. The kind where a company looks directly at what its most loyal customers are telling them, decides it knows better, and walks straight into the wall anyway. Ram made the second kind, and the sales data that followed was not a warning, it was a verdict. Number 4 is the 2025 Ram 1500. This entry represents something genuinely rare in the modern automotive industry. A company publicly admitting it got things catastrophically, embarrassingly wrong, then scrambling to reverse course before the damage became permanent. For the 2025 model year, Ram discontinued the 5.7-liter Hemi V8 across the entire Ram 1500 lineup. Every trim, no exceptions. The replacement was the Hurricane Twin turbocharged inline-6, available in 420 horsepower standard output or 540 horsepower high output configuration. On spec sheets, the Hurricane beats the old Hemi in power, torque, and measured fuel economy. Buyers rejected it anyway. Ram sales dropped 19.5% in the first half of 2024. One of the steepest single-year declines in the full-size truck segment's modern history. One Ram dealership owner in Tennessee told Automotive News, "I had customers come in with their checkbooks ready. They found out the Hemi was gone and left without asking the price of anything. Not one question, just gone." Then Ram announced the Hemi would return for 2026. More than 10,000 orders arrived within 24 hours. That number is not enthusiasm. That is a market sending a message with a sledgehammer and hoping someone in the executive suite was paying attention. The 2025 Ram 1500s powered by the Hurricane engine are still sitting on lots with day supply significantly above the industry norm. Part of the reason is buyers waiting for the 2026 V8 return. Part of it is buyers who switched to a Ford F-150 or Chevy Silverado in frustration and have not come back. Number 3 is the Nissan Titan, and this is the saddest entry on the entire list. Not because the truck was bad, it was not. The 5.6-liter V8 was strong. The interior was competitive for its era. The powertrain earned a genuine reputation for durability among owners who actually lived with it daily. The tragedy is that Nissan never gave the Titan a fighting chance. No diesel option that American work truck buyers specifically wanted. No serious off-road variant to compete with the Raptor, the TRX, or the Tundra TRD Pro. No fleet sales push. No marketing that matched the competition at any point in 2 decades. Ford and GM retooled their full-size platforms multiple times, while the Titan sat on aging architecture and waited. Through November 2025, Titan sales had collapsed 83.4% year over year to just 2,240 units. Production ended mid-2024. The Canton, Mississippi plant is being retooled for electric vehicles. It was abandoned. Number 2 is the Tesla Cybertruck. Elon Musk unveiled it in 2019. 2 million people put down deposits. The hype was unlike anything the automotive industry had ever seen. Here is where it landed. By early 2025, Tesla was sitting on an estimated 10,000 unsold Cybertrucks at an average price of $79,000. That is approximately $800 million in inventory sitting still. GM makes national headlines when they idle a shift for 6 weeks. Tesla was stashing Cybertrucks in the parking lot of a shuttered Detroit shopping center, while Michigan authorities issued zoning violations. 8 recalls since deliveries began in late 2023. Trim panels detaching at highway speed, a stuck throttle pedal, windshield wiper failures. The most comprehensive recall revealed the total delivered fleet was only 46,000 units. Musk had projected 250,000 annually. Used Cybertruck prices fell 55% year over year. When Tesla was asked about trade-ins, owners were told to pursue lemon law claims instead. When a manufacturer refuses to take its own product back, the market has already delivered its verdict. Number 1 is not a single truck. It is an entire brand. And that story is next. The truck market did not collapse because Americans stopped wanting trucks. It collapsed because prices outran paychecks, interest rates turned manageable payments into monthly crises, and one brand made decisions so disconnected from its own customers that 38,000 unsold trucks became the only argument anyone needed. The 12 vehicles on this list are not victims of bad luck. They are the predictable result of a market that finally stopped absorbing decisions made in boardrooms that never asked the people actually writing the checks. The repo man does not care about your circumstances. Neither does the finance manager. Neither does the brand that discontinued the engine you specifically wanted. The only person in that dealership protecting your money is you. Walk in with data. Walk in with the numbers already run. Walk in knowing exactly which vehicles are sitting on lots and why. Download the free ebook, Avoid These 17 Cars in 2026. Depreciation charts, reliability scores, the exact models mechanics see constantly. Link is in the description. Download it before you step foot on any lot.